हेलो ऑल, वेलकम टू माय चैनल। स्वागत है आप सबका मेरे इस चैनल पर।
The next barrier to PDM implementation is the information. Information is the data. So data has to be there, and for data only the PDM. What is product? What is PDM? It is product data management. Now in this category, this groups problems related to flow of data, use of data, and quality of data. Information means data. So all sorts of problems which are related to the use and flow of data means data uh, which is to be transferred from one system to other system, or one person to other person, or one department to other department. This we had seen in earlier lectures of this second third module. That is the flow of data and quality of product information. Now there may be problems with the cost of entering information to the system, because the system may not be able to handle all type of data. It may not be able to store data when where it is needed. There may be issues with compatibility between the data structure. So the process of entering the data, the form of data in which it should be entered, this can be the problems. There will be no way of encouraging reuse of information. At one extreme, the product information is such as it is a valuable asset, and in some cases information will have been lost, and it won't be possible to find copy of it for the PDM system. So we are saying that PDM information is so important, and if we are not able to retrieve that information and it is lost, then it's of no use. The system is of no use. So the reuse of information may not be possible in some cases. So there it is a barrier. It is becoming a barrier. Then people will be unwilling to give up their power base. Like some people, they are known only because they have some or other type of data. Just for example, you can consider the IT people. Okay, those people have data. They have all type of databases with them, and that data, because of that data, they have the power. Okay, so that is the source of their power in the organization. Okay, as information is power, their source of power is they have the data. So they may not be willing to do that. Issues of ownership and control of information are the again source of many problems. Like some company, some department will say that this belongs to us, this belongs to us. Like in the department also, there may be people who may think that, okay, if I give the information, I may be of no use to the organization. So they may create problems. So this ownership of issue, it cannot be a big issue for individual, because if everyone has a copy of the information, then this may not be a issue for the organization and for the individual, because the information will be controlled and he will be giving information to each one who are concerned with that. Then it will not be a problem to anyone that okay, I am important because I have this information. But then there is another problem, that to work out who has right to access the information, who is the person who can have the authority of giving or providing the information, because you cannot have a head of that particular who say whatever the department is to have access, because he will not be free every time to provide the information. There have to be people who are working under him, who should have the right to access this information. So if that is not there, if the right is not given, then there will be issue, and to whom the right should be given, that also is another issue. Another problem is the unorganized state of most information, because when the information was there, it was traditionally maintained on paper, and that information was not in any organized fashion. So it has been possible for people who have been in the company for many years, last 20, 25, 30 years, that they know that particular document where it will be, and they can find it in few hours also. But the system hasn't needed to be very effective. With PDM, this will change. Okay. So it was kept unorganized and it was known to only few people who were working in that. But with PDM, this will not happen. So these people will then create issues in the implementation of PDM. One of the reasons for using PDM is to make sure people don't have to wait several hours to access a document. Okay, why are we implementing PDM? Because people should get it quickly as possible, and the PDM system should give it very quickly to the people. And this should ensure that the information that is fed into it should be properly fed, and it should be well organized information. Sometimes problem of information may arise with particular type of document, like the system may only be able to handle. If I want to give example for suppose the system may be able to handle only JPEG file. Okay, it does not support TIFF or BMW file, or then that can be an issue. Okay, so I have given you example of images. Sometimes you may see that doc file or docs file, when it is downloaded, then it is the entire formatting is changed. Okay, so this type of problems may come, but use of data may be divided equally between two locations. So that can also be another issue. In some cases, it will be the cost of communicating the information between different sites. Uh, that is actually the problem. In some cases, it may be the security or confidentiality of the data that can be a problem, that it should not be given to each of the people. So it's often a problem to know what information to put in the PDM system, because even if the confidential information is in the PDM, if the confidential information is put in the PDM system and its access is given to someone, then it may leak that data, and then again it can be another issue. It can lead to another issue. Okay, so these are some of the problems which may come with information. This is another point. After many months of hard work, PDM installation is about to start. So PDM installation, actually all the data is put on the server, and then the system is installed, everyone is trained, and then the PDM implementation will start. This is the expectation. Now everything has been done. We have invested in 6 months for uploading the data. Now we'll start the proper implementation of the PDM. And this is the thought, but no, not necessary. At installation time, all sorts of problems can arise, and it's very unlikely that anyone is going to be able to relax. There may be some issues which may come, which have not come up till now, which have not come up till now. Okay, and the people will think that okay, everything is done now, only implementation installation is remaining, and it will happen properly. So it's not the case all the time. The PDM project may be poorly managed. The people who have planned for PDM and selected a system may pull out before the system is installed. They may leave the project, they may leave the organization. So this can be the problem. Okay, so one of the problem that now everything is done, now installation has to be done, but the people who are responsible for it, they are not there for installation. Sometimes insufficient training may be given to the user and the system support team. So this I have already discussed earlier lecture also. If the training is not properly given, then what will happen? They may not be able to give the proper support to the people who are, or to the end user. If problems like this appear, then it's the fault of the PDM project team. The project team, the PDM team who is implementing it, they only are the people to be blamed for this. There can also be many problems. There can also be many problems which that are not directly related to the system. There may be problem due to the money, there may be problem due to the time. Money in the sense, the installation team has not been given the entire money, so they will not start the installation. Or the end users who wants to use it, they don't have time, they may be busy in some other project. Already the implementation is delayed and they are now working on other projects, so they don't have time, or any other sort of problem that can come. Financial problem can also occur if the budget is withdrawn. Okay, at the end moment, if the budget is withdrawn, then it can be financial problem. Since PDM is taking so long, so we'll withdraw the budget and invest it somewhere else. We'll look at PDM in the next financial year. So this can also be the issue. Now, PDM project team must make sure it estimate correctly the amount of time and money. So earlier only the PDM team should estimate how much time it is going to take for installation and how much money it's going to take for installation. It should make an installation plan, and it should supply that installation plan to people, and also the funds to the higher authorities. The reason for this is to be able to show that funding is, if funding is withdrawn, then certain activities cannot be carried out, and the corresponding benefits whatever was promised earlier, that cannot be achieved. This way the person who cut the funding and not the team take responsibility for the failure to achieve the benefit. So if it is properly informed earlier only, then the person who is funding, who is cutting the fund, he will be blamed and he will be responsible, and not the PDM team will be responsible for it. Often the team will be faced with people who withdraw their support. There can be people who have promised funding, that I will fund the PDM at this stage of the PDM implementation, or there are people who have promised to give their time and they withdraw their time or support in some or other way, and that can affect the PDM implementation. Now again, to avoid getting into problems like this, the team has to avoid getting into a situation where it makes promises that can only be kept if someone else keeps their promise. That is dependency. If they have to be clear in that if they are depending on someone else, or if PDM team cannot keep the promise, that is interdependency. If PDM team has not kept the promise, the support team is also not going to give the promise. So that has to be clearly defined by the PDM team at the earlier on, at the start only, so that this type of issues will not occur. Now, often this means that it has to work in a step-by-step mode only. So, step-by-step mode, like all of you know what is a Gantt chart. So they can prepare a Gantt chart and they can show that okay, this was planned and this is going as per the planning. So only promising to carry out small steps will help them. Okay. Though sometimes it's not always the money that is the issue. Sometimes it can be some other issues also that may arise, and the installation may not happen. There can be issues like some bugs or some types of viruses, or some the system is not running properly. This can also happen. Now, introduction of system may stimulate users to understand what they really need. The introduction of PDM system with limited workflow management may lead them to claim that what they really need is the workflow management system with limited data management functionality. That has to be properly explained to the users. Then the last point here is everyday use. So this system is used every day. A good PDM team will overcome all the problems. So whatever problems we have discussed, whatever barriers we have discussed, the good PDM team will take care of all these issues and will not let these barriers to come in the PDM implementation. Its member will make sure that the appropriate system for the company is selected and implemented. So it is the work of the PDM project team that issues like this should not happen, because their work of PDM team does not stop at the installation only. Okay, they must have to really ready for, they must have to be ready for the problems that can arise when the system is used on a everyday basis. Okay, once the software is implemented, and they cannot feel keep relaxing that okay, now there is no issue, the software is installed and it will go as per the plan. There can be problems due to error, inconsistency in the system, some functionalities are missing, on some part the training was not sufficient, or the interfaces are not proper, and sometimes there can be failure. So this can be the issues. So they have to work on this also after the implementation on everyday basis. Now, the first users of the new system will put a lot of effort into learning the system, how to use it and overcome the beneficiaries. Okay, the first user, when the system is new. However, once the system is in everyday use, other users will not be so understanding. Other users may think that they will view the system just as a tool and not a new technology to be experimented with. They will expect it to work perfectly. So they may not work properly, but they will expect the system to work perfectly. And if there are any viruses or any bugs or any issues, or any functionality issue or functionality missing, they will claim that they are not able to work with it, and they will revert to the manual method. Yes. So if it is a now the system is implemented, now the people are trained, and now they are going to use it, then it's okay. But if it is a new user, maybe after a period of 6 months or use 1 year, some new person has been appointed to use the system, he may not take that much effort and he may just blame the system. Then other users will not be understanding. So that's what I have told you. They may not be understanding. So team should ensure that the users of the system receive sufficient training and continuous training. Training should be given if there are new people who are using the system. They should also be trained. So frequent training should be arranged by the PDM team. The PDM system can have all the functionality promised by the vendor. Still, it may be unusable unless there are procedures showing exactly how this functionality should be used by the company. So either some demo videos should be there in the help section, or how to use the PDM system, that should be explained, and somewhere it should be either documented or some or in some the form of video it should be there, so that whoever is using it will learn it from there and try to implement the system. Now this is another source of problem: the interface between the PDM and other system. End user want it in Excel form, and the PDM system is not able to give the data in Excel form. Then there is some issue here, and that has to be solved by the PDM system. Sometimes what may happen, that new developments are promised by the vendor and they do not appear. That okay, I will resolve this issue, and that issue is not solved. You must have seen that whenever there is update on software update in the mobile phone, always they will say that okay, these were the issues that were resolved. You may have not raised the issue, but there are people who have raised the issue, or they only have identified the issue, and that issue is resolved now. So a right balance has to strike between the selection of systems. If there are a lot of functionality, so this is the last point, everyday use. So